Howdy, friends. Welcome to Brain Drain Unlimited Foundation. Welcome to Friday live streams. We are doing another live stream from the series called Meet Your New Neighbor. And today we have a new old neighbor, one of the older neighbors we would like to talk with. Just a couple words about us first. My name is Konstantin. I am the host of Inside Russia channel. I am born and raised Russian. I live in exile in Uzbekistan, and I am trying to help as many people from Russia and Ukraine who have fled their homes to find new home in America. And I'm co-founder of Brain Drain Unlimited Foundation, along with Manus, and we have other fantastic members of our team, Eric and Tamara, directors of the board of Brain Drain, helping us and participating in this series. I hope you find it interesting. Manus MacLean, Eric Liknes, and Tamara Bagatova. Friends, thank you very much for joining and for organizing actually this series. And please, could you please introduce yourself?
My name's Eric Liknes, and I am in charge of marketing and technology for Brain Drain. I come from a marketing management consulting background, and I've been helping support Brain Drain since February. I joined the team. So,
thank you.
All right. I'm Manus MacLean, co-founder along with Konstantin. We developed this because we felt that there was I looked at it as a challenge after watching some of Konstantin's videos on Inside Russia about how wonderful these people are. And I just thought, all right, let's bring them here. And stole the concept of brain drain from the British, who were a little bit upset with the United States for stealing all their scientists in the early 60s. But we've gotten over it. Hopefully they have too. So.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tamara Bagatova. I am a Russian lawyer with a huge law experience. And I left Russia and joined it in February to the team like Eric. And now I live in Uzbekistan. It's a country near Afghanistan, Central Asia. And I really appreciate to work with you guys.
Okay.
Thank you. This is great. I just would like to add that all members of the Brain Drain team are absolutely fantastic and great hearts, sharp minds, and great people with fantastic sense of humor, with great drive, full of energy, and good intentions and drive to help other people. So thank you, friends. Well, today we have Manus on stage. Usually we invite different potential immigrants and people who have already immigrated to the USA, and we ask questions. So they share their stories, they share their takes on immigration, their views on how life in the United States is, what they have found in America, or what they're looking to find. Well, Manus is a little different story. Manus is born and raised in Pennsylvania. As American as apple pie, I guess. And Manus, I would like to ask you a few questions. And friends, I really would appreciate if you join me in asking questions. You are connected with the whole issue of immigration in America. Okay, you have been working with people. You have a close family who are immigrants. You have your kids are mix of American and Ukrainian culture, and I really would like to ask you your personal story, where you come from, where you were born and how you were brought up, and what actually what has brought you to that point when me and you we came up with the idea of creating Brain Drain Unlimited Foundation, basically a tool to help people who are stuck outside their countries, forced to be stuck, for not at their will, to find new home. So could you please share your personal story?
Personal story. I was okay. I am actually the 9th of 10 children. My grandmother was an immigrant from Ireland. She came over here at the age of 13 to work as a servant in a relative's house. She did not have her family until she was in her 30s, which back at that time was extremely late. And yeah, I know my grandmother was almost 40 when my mother was born, and that was in 1923, and that was considered ancient in 1923. My mother was almost 40 when I was born, and that was in 1960. So that was even an ancient time, to have a child. So it spans a long way. I did have a career mostly in business and in sales. I did take a pivot within the last 10 to 15 years of my career. I just met with this criminal defense attorney, and we clicked. He gave me the title of forensic engineer or forensic investigator is what he called me. And but basically my job was always to challenge the evidence, to challenge all those type of things. And one of those things that we found out, especially in criminal law, you have both defendants and witnesses that are particularly vulnerable if they do not have proper immigration status. So even today, we find out, a speeding ticket could be a death sentence, for some immigrants. And so I got involved with working with that and whatnot. And obviously, when we would have a case or something like that, if we had an alibi, a witness was always reluctant to come forward because that put them in jeopardy. So starting with the immigration process, working at the law office at that time, and so got very familiar with it. It's a tough process, as people will tell you. I don't necessarily find it myself to be all that tough, but then again, I get to go home every night, so that's it's just a matter of doing the work and going home and whatever. And I know that for many people, they have that situation. They're not in that same place. So,
and that's only gotten worse over the last 15 years.
It's gotten, I would say, has it gotten worse? I've seen the ups and downs of it, depending on how the policy is interpreted and how the policy is executed. So you definitely need to have yourself set up with a system where you are prepared for the contingencies. You may come across a USCIS officer who's not thinking along the same lines as you. You have to understand what the rules are, what the law is, and how to apply it. And sometimes you also have to make sure that you have good legal representation that will take it out of the immigration administration and into the courts. So there's, whatever. You're always. I still feel very confident that you will ultimately get a fair resolution in the courts. I still feel confident that in most cases you will get a fair resolution in the immigration system as it is, as long as you follow those rules and guidelines. That's been my experience. If your paperwork is intact, if your story's consistent, makes sense, then it's good. It's just it's a cumbersome process.
Well, all the more important of having someone to help you along the way, which is why we're here.
Yes, which is why we're here. So,
Manus, I would like to add something to what you just said. You nailed it, because you still think that you still believe in the system, in the process. And so do I. If I didn't have faith in the system, in the fairness of most of decisions, then I would not be involved in helping people to move to the USA, because this is a thing of faith. I trust that the USA is still the place where most cases, if your story is legit, if it's honest, if it's true, then you still get fair resolution. Okay, and then for as long as I personally believe, I will continue doing what we've been doing. Yeah, but
Okay.
that's a little, we've stepped away from the question. Fascinating story so far, thank you. But I also know that you, at one point of your life, decided to broaden your horizon and travel outside the USA just to take a look how the world looks like, and that changed your life. Could you please tell us about that?
Well, there was never actually anything that was, I would say, intentional. It was a situation where, I was annoyed. To be honest with you, I was really annoyed. We're all familiar with in our history with what happened in 9/11 in 2001. So everybody's familiar with that, and they changed the laws here, in the United States. So it used to be I could go to Canada, the Caribbean, and Mexico anytime I wanted. All I had to have was my driver's license, and that was fine. Europe was always a maybe like a distant fantasy or whatever. Wasn't anything whatever. It was just impractical for the most places, because you're spending most of your time traveling back and forth, so you get to travel for 2 weeks and spend maybe 2 days. That's an exaggeration, but trust me, it was always a little bit tough. So I figured, okay, I can't get there with my license anymore. I have to get my passport. I think that was 2007. And then I had a passport, and I figured, okay, I might as well use it. And at the time, I was single or divorced, and I just decided, okay, there was a list of places I wanted to see, and I chose Moscow, Russia, only because that was the least expensive. So, yeah. Of all the other options, that was the least expensive, and everything that I wanted. I did not want a hotel. I did not want anything. So I managed to find an apartment, and I was there for 2.5 weeks. Just to live, to see what it was like, to experience life as a typical Russian individual, shopping at the supermarkets, going to restaurants, and things of that nature. So
you're straight out of Family Guy.
If you say so. I'm not familiar with Family Guy. But I won't dispute it. But that's, and that led to some interesting observations. Let's put it that way. Yeah. I think that the first observation I had was that the sell-by date was a recommendation in Moscow, not necessarily a law or a rule that it is here in the United States. So, yeah, and I think the best story that I have, or the one that I always was entertained by, was when I was in a restaurant and I'm sitting at the table and I'm trying to figure out this menu, and I asked the server, the young woman, I said, I asked for a menu in English and I got this. And I said, can you get me a menu in English? And she smiled and she took the menu out of my hands and flipped it over. And on the opposite side, it was in English. So I thought, okay, I messed up there.
Tourist.
Yes.
Oh,
But-
Americans.
Yeah.
But I noticed something. The one thing as I'm looking at the menu in English, I notice that there's something off, and I start flipping it back and forth. And on the Russian side, the portions were larger, and the prices were smaller. Yeah, so on the English side, the portions were smaller and the prices were larger. So when she comes back for my order, I flip it over to the Russian side. I'm emphatically da da da, and then I flip it back over to the English side. I said yet. I'm pointing to the same item. So yeah, but that was my
So
first
when-
experience traveling.
When did you spend the time in Russia? What years?
This
what
would have
year?
been what 2007.
Ah,
So I think got my first passport in 2007. Yes. Yeah, that was the
Well, and
first time I
that's-
had a passport.
the two things I wanted to mention that for our foreign audience, that's one thing that's quite common for Americans is not to have a passport. There's a lot of Americans that don't have a passport and have never been outside the United States. And secondly, it's the vacation culture is a lot different here. So when we say in the United States boy, it's really hard to take 2 weeks off. That's kind of the culture here. So it's harder for Americans, like Manus said, just to take a month off and go to Europe.
Yeah. It was that was a difficult situation there, but as you said, the traveling and when we want to go to the beach, I get in the car for 2 hours and I'm there, less, and I think that's a common thing with many Americans. They're not that far from a beach. They're not that far from the mountains and whatever.
So how do you go from Moscow to a Ukrainian wife?
Oh, I think over the years, as I met certain individuals or whatever, I met this couple, and they run some sort of. I know they're involved with the church in some way, not the regular Catholic Church. I grew up with the Catholic Church. I believe they're Baptist or things of that nature. But so I ran into them, and it turned out that the woman was good friends with my future wife at that time, and for some reason thought that we would make an excellent couple. So she made the introduction. So
She was right.
oh yes.
Yes.
Yeah, 2 children later. So Yeah.
That trip to Russia changed your life.
yeah, in many ways. Yeah, it did. It did. It gave me a definite perspective of how things were both different and the same. I can also remember clearly in my head, I was sitting in a BMW in Moscow and it had cloth interior. And I thought, wait, this is a BMW. BMWs in the United States all have leather. And I was just like took me back. I just like then I noticed that their engine sizes were smaller. So yeah,
Hmm.
but yeah,
So definitely broadened your horizons. I can tell you about BMWs. I think I even heard of Mercedes with cloth interior, and
yes,
it was valued better than leather in the past because winters are very hard, and when you
Mm.
get into a cold car in the morning and you sit down and you place your butt on cloth, it's much more comfortable than on the leather because leather is, it's a different tactile feeling that you get. It's very
yeah,
cold. Clothes is better that way. So some people even paid premium for that, believe it or not.
yeah.
We
That
had
that
the
could
same
be.
thing. We had the same thing growing up in Dakota. Cold leather seat. Yeah. Before the days of seat warmers.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Now I
Yeah.
think they've replaced all cloth interiors with fake leather, like artificial leather. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, oh well. So that's a good story. Thank you so much. What did you think of Moscow when you traveled? What were your first impressions of the city?
My first impressions. Well, it was a very busy city, and it was also. I mean, there are certain things about it that I, you know, that I really liked. Uh, the fact that I remember when I was initially there. I'm walking down. What is that street? Terraskaya or something like that? Am I
Yes, Tverskaya. It's
okay?
right in the heart. It leads to the Red Square in the Kremlin.
Yeah, and it seems to be like a 8-lane highway. It's like 2 or 3 lanes on the side coming at you, and 2 or 3 lanes going the opposite way. I forget whatever. I just know that it's busy. There's cars just flying there, and it's like, how do people get to the other side? And you know, not realizing, that not being familiar with it, that they actually go down to the subway tunnels and they walk across and they come up the stairs, that type of stuff. So, but yeah, that's something that is totally different and foreign, for, an American would probably, a healthy young American would probably just try to run across, so, dodge the cars, but so that was, taken aback. The architecture was interesting. It's a little bit more too ornate for my taste, but
Hmm.
definitely interesting and whatnot. Uh, but then uh, the residential blocks were just plain and simple, at least the way that I saw it. Uh, I mean, more than adequate, but plain and simple. And size wise, uh, I'm used to living in a large city where you don't get a lot of square feet anyway. So that did not affect me too much and whatnot. But I would see how that type of thing. And I think the other thing is here we measure the size by uh, square feet. I know that they use square meters, but they typically they talk about rooms. How many rooms it has, and that was the other thing with the cultural bias or whatever. It's not actually a separate bedroom. It's a these are you get 3 rooms. One is a kitchen. The other 2 seem to be like multi-purpose, which transforms into a quick bedroom or a living room or a dining room or whatever, within a few
You must
movements of
have stayed
furniture and
in
opening up
a.
things. Yes.
You
Pardon
must
me?
have stayed in a Khrushchevka.
I believe it was, yes. Yes. Yeah, so, but yeah, it wasn't
What
that bad.
about people? People, how did you find people?
Oh, in Moscow, I was amazed at how many English-speaking people I found. So, uh, and I didn't find any. I mean, uh, the couple who gave me the apartment or rented the apartment to me, uh, they were a divorced couple, yeah, but they're still living together, and they divorced at the end, towards the end of the Soviet Union, and they used that divorce as an excuse for the husband to get a separate apartment so that they can earn money by renting it. And so, and so I mean, to me that was like, oh, okay, but I remember the one time she tells me, that I should not try not to speak English in the open, because sometimes people will find that to be a little bit uh, provocative. Let's put it that way. She was afraid that I would get jumped or mugged or whatever. And I get on the train, and it's a 20-minute ride, and that's the other thing. The subways, they did an excellent job with that. So I get on the train. It's a 20-minute ride into center city, I guess, or whatever. And this old man is sitting next to me, and he's telling me his story. He's telling me his life story, and I had just nodding my head, going da da and whatever. And the whole thing, I have no clue what he told me, but like I said, he basically told me his entire life story, I'm sure. And so, yeah, as far as the people, I had no problems with them. I would often learned how to to use mime, and all those other things. But yeah, always was able to find people with at least some sort of English skills that would be willing to help me with directions and things of that nature. So
I've found that in places, a few simple words go a long ways. That most times when Americans travel, the big problem they have is just assuming the whole world speaks English, and not even learning how to say hello, So simple things like hello, goodbye, thank you, I would like this. They go a
yeah,
long ways. I used to
Eric,
educate people about the French, and people would say, oh, the French are so rude. And I'd say to them, well, what if you were walking down the street in the States and someone came up to you and just started saying blah, 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 in French without even saying hello to you first? How would you react?
yeah,
Yeah.
Eric, we had a situation yesterday, Sunday afternoon. Michael had a hockey game, and we got out of hockey stadium, and we were just walking to a large shopping mall to meet with Natasha and Dasha. And all of a sudden, I spot an American couple, and they look absolutely lost. Like they have no clue where they are. And they are in one of the underground passages, like Manus, you told about Tverskaya. To cross
yeah,
the street, you have to go under. So in Tashkent, it's a similar system. And they look lost, and they worried, and not too many people in Tashkent like walking, on Sunday. And they just have no clue. So I stopped by with Michael, and I asked him, "Howdy, folks. Can I help you, perhaps?" and they look at me and they go, wow, finally someone who speaks English. Finally, where have you been hiding? You know, come on. Yes, we need help. We're lost. No one speaks English here. I said, well, yeah, I know. So it's pretty funny. So I know what you mean. Sorry,
Yeah.
a little off topic.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, and it's doubly hard there for us because we don't read Cyrillic. So you might as well be showing Chinese to an American who doesn't know Cyrillic. It looks like gobbledygook to us.
Well, it's
Yeah.
in not in Cyrillic here. It's in whatchamacallit, Western alphabet.
Oh, yeah.
Not Cyrillic. It's in Latin numbers in English, basically English alphabet. Uzbeks, they switched from Cyrillic into English, but still, it's gibberish. I don't understand anything. I don't speak Uzbek.
Okay.
Okay. Manus, I would like to ask you another question.
Sure.
This question is personal, and I kind of relate to you in this matter. So now you are married to an immigrant, to a wonderful lady from Ukraine, who speaks both Ukrainian and Russian, and you have kids. So how do you find being married to an immigrant? How are there any difficulties? Are there any moments that you find wonderful, in this intercultural relationship? Because I've been there myself. I have my own story, but I'd like to ask you, and I'd like to hear what you have to say. Very interesting.
Okay.
If it's not too personal, of course.
No, intercultural. I'm not really sure how to answer that because I don't necessarily see myself as having experience with all these other cultures and all these other wives. So, to compare it to. So, it is. I mean, it's an adjustment, to say the least. I mean, obviously, with her being here, initially, there was certain things that you would have to do to make sure that she had some sort of guidance, if you want to use that word. How to get directions, how to use the public transportation, and things of that nature. So there was always that, and a little bit of a concern, which is less these days because now everybody uses Uber and Lyft, and that's, you definitely know you're getting to the right place. You're paying a lot for it, but you're definitely getting to the right place. I think I would see it from their point of view for when I was there. Because when I was there myself, as a visitor, both in Kiev and her hometown, which is in Crimea, then I was the one that was always like wondering, what stop do I get off at? That type of stuff. And am I going in the right direction? Should I be going north or south? I don't know. That type of stuff. And if we got separated, would I be able to find my way back? So there's those practical concerns. Yeah. And obviously, the idea of me choosing, what to have from the restaurant or the stores was just to me, that was ridiculous because I couldn't read it. I had no idea what was in those packages. It's like, I will take your word for it that there's food inside. That's it. That's, yeah. And, so I can see how that limited experience, for me, can impact a immigrant when they first come to the United States. Yeah. So yes, everybody recognizes what's in a McDonald's bag, but there's a lot of times when you see these packages, if you don't understand the alphabet and if you can't read the words, you're going to have to take a leap of that faith and do a lot of guessing. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I found the same thing when I lived abroad too. And you're right. Until you walked a mile in those shoes into those Americans out there, and if you haven't been in a position where you found yourself suddenly illiterate, and depending on it's quite humbling very quickly.
Yes.
And so, yeah, that experience is very helpful in terms of welcoming people here. If you've been in those.
Mm-hmm.
I have a quick question to Tamara. Do you have any experience abroad, like getting stuck without knowing any local language?
Maybe just now I live abroad. Uzbekistan is not my motherland, and I live in that part of Tashkent where people don't speak Russian. But for me, it's very interesting. But sometimes it's complicated.
Complicated? No, it's usually interesting and complicated go hand in hand together.
Yes.
Like most of the time.
But Samara, you have visited the States in the past.
Yes.
You told me
6
some
years
of
ago.
Yep.
Yes. I really like this country. I visited New York, Philadelphia, and Minnesota. Absolutely different places, and I like all of them.
Okay. All right.
Are you a fan of Fargo?
Yes, of course. But our
Everyone in
friends
Russia knows Fargo.
didn't recommend us to visit this place.
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Manus, no,
Yeah.
I was married to an American of Indian descent, Cherokee tribe, and when I started my relationship, I found my world got so much bigger because I was introduced to a new culture, not just like living in the USA, but on more intimate level, and to new family, new traditions, new style of cooking, and that made my life so much more interesting, so much more colorful. What about you? Do you have similar experience? How was that? Has it been for you?
Well, yeah. I mean, virtually everything was new, so that was always a that type of stuff. Yeah, I remember seeing or visiting my wife's grandparents, and that was a definite. It wasn't necessarily a farm, but it was there. It was a village, and they had animals. They had chickens, and I think they had a pig there. And it was like, why is this pig here? But that type of stuff. And but it was a definite experience. Where again, the food, the conversations, and the people coming and going, and things of that nature. It was just, you just kind of soak it in, and yeah, I don't know how else to express it or explain it or anything along those lines. It's just totally different. You get to see how people live. You know, and it's really not that much different than how we live. Yeah, we may pay more for our table, but it's still table. Yeah.
At the end of the day, people are people.
Yes. Yeah. 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 So, it was like I said, the families weren't as I think I mentioned in the opening, I was the ninth of 10 children, and my cousins or whatever. My father's sister also had 10 children. So
there's got to be a joke in there.
I don't know. I just know that nothing really compares to that. At the holidays where you have two families with 20 kids, and then you have your other families involved. That type of stuff. Because I think my mother was the one of four, and my father was one of five, I believe. No, one of four. He had three sisters. So my mother had three sisters. My father had three sisters, and just the combination of families were such large, and there was no space or anything like that. So at least this was an experience where you could actually interact with other people, without getting into too much trouble. So, and as an adult. So,
speaking of kids, Manus, how are your kids being raised? Are you raising them to be bilingual, or are you just raising them in the American culture? Or
I'm raising them in the American culture.
Well, I mean,
you're not the only one raising them, right?
Do they speak a foreign language? Yes. Is it Russian or Ukrainian? I don't know. Does their mother seem to know what they're saying? Sometimes, yes. So, yeah.
Well,
I don't
it's
know.
not a matter of raising them. It's just when one of your parents is a different culture, or both parents of different culture, right? Two cultures. You soak in both cultures. I mean,
Right.
whether you like it or not, that's is just a given.
Yes. Yes. My younger one, the daughter, seems to be more interested in adopting the language and whatnot. My older one has never seen that much interested. But I can remember when he was 4. He was 4 years old at the time, and he just was sitting. We would do these conversations, these online conversations, and I would have it broadcasted to the television set. So we're up there on the big 50-inch screen TV, and he's sitting there, and she would have our conversations or whatever, and talk to mostly my wife, her daughter, and but my son is just sitting there, and he just like looks at her and he says, "Savannah, adisada," and which I guess translates to "come here." Yeah, he just was. That was his first words in Russian was to his grandmother, "Come here." And within 6 months, she was on a plane. So, yeah, it worked. Yeah, and but other than that, My daughter says some things that cannot be repeated over public. So, and I assume
Well,
she gets it from her mother.
I think it's awesome experience for children to grow up in a multicultural family. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's just it makes you a bigger person. That's
Yeah.
to bilingual, bicultural. Certainly, you're like you're born with widened horizons. So
Yes.
I'm trying to teach my son and my kids that's well, four of them are too old to teach, and Michael is still at the age where I can teach him. And thank you. This is that's great.
Right.
Thank you.
You want to
Very
teach
interesting.
Michael English? I would suggest have your daughters teach him English. They're very proficient. So
Well, to that point, if they're going to learn another language, that's the time to do it, because kids are so quick at picking up language. To your point of the first words in Russian.
yeah. Well, like I said, they were to his grandmother, and they were telling her to come here. So yeah. So, but that was always something that I will remember. I mean, I knew he understood because his mother would always tell him certain things in Russian or Ukrainian, and the same thing with my daughter. She does speak to them in that language, and they seem to understand and whatnot. So, but yeah,
Are you
Excellent.
speaking it at
Excellent.
all?
no, that's a combination of both my protection. I can claim ignorance.
Nice.
Yes.
Okie dokie. Well, may I ask you about brain drain?
Yes.
I know quite well, but I'd like everyone to know how brain drain was born. It was discussion between us, so I remember quite well. But could you please tell everyone the story of brain drain? Because the idea came from you. I remember it quite well. You were the one who bore this idea to the world, so to speak. So can you please tell us the story of how brain drain was born?
Well, the brain drain came from a conversation between you and me, and I remember, I was just so I knew that I watched your videos and I learned a little bit about your history and everything like that. You said something to the effect that we should welcome you here into the United States. And it was like, well, yeah, but okay, let's go. And I think I just initially said, to you, I think that's how I ever opened the conversation was, when are you coming? And you were like, kind of like, it's not so easy. But for me, it was always easy. For me, it was always easy. I know, yes, of course, I have to put the papers together. And yes, I know that these applications can take over 1,000 pages. Yeah, don't there's whatever. But I also know that it's a lot of work on their side to get it those documents together and translated and everything like that. I never really looked at things as far as what is difficult or what is easy. It's just it's got to get done. It's got to get done. So that's how that was the attitude that I always took. I will revert to something that you said earlier, that I believe in the system. That's not necessarily true. I don't necessarily believe in the system. I think the system is just a ridiculous nightmare. But I understand it, and I understand how to get from point A to point B. And yeah, sometimes getting from point A to point B is a lot more difficult than it has to be. And I do have some ideas or whatever, on how to improve it or how to, you know, yeah. Just to give you an example, why do we insist on a certificate from a police department from a country that we have no confidence in their reliability? So
Where the police are corrupt.
yeah. So why are we telling our people to go and get a certificate from that police department? It was like, what are you doing? I mean, even in the United States, we don't ask employees or prospective employees to get recommendation letters. In fact, we highly discourage them, but we are telling them to go out and get recommendation letters and things of that nature. So yes, it is a lot more difficult than it has to be. And yes, but anyway, yeah, I just went through the process. I knew that the biggest prior, immigration, that was occurring in my lifetime was coming from Russia, Ukraine, Eastern Europe, in those fashions. Now we have the refugee crisis and the things of that nature from South America or Latin America. Yeah, Mexico has always been that way and always will be that way. So that's never been that much of an issue. We've never had an issue with Canada. I can go back, but I came to the term brain drain simply because that was how the British Royal Society described the scientists and the technical people leaving Europe and coming to the United States back in 1963. So I figured, okay, I like that term. So let's get these brains here. And,
may I add a couple words about brain drain? Because we had we had to choose one name from
yes,
a list of names. One was it's an honorable mention, okay? It's Putin's
Oh, yeah.
Pilgrims.
Yes. Yes.
Putin's Pilgrims.
Yes.
Yeah,
I was coming up with all
that was
these.
funny.
Yeah. Goofy, ridiculous names, but yes, Putin's Pilgrims was one. Yes. So
Putin's. Imagine we named it Putin's Pilgrims.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Who are you guys? Well, Putin's Pilgrims. Yes.
Yeah.
I actually remember. I remember the day when that idea was born. It came from you, and I said, Manus, how is this possible to establish non-profit in to get tax refund, not tax refund, but this tax deduction from the U.S. government, to get donations as a non-profit and help people, foreigners, to find Russians, Ukrainians, the Moldovians, Georgians find new home. And you said, well, it's doable. It's easy. I said, well, if it's doable and easy, let's do it.
Yeah.
That's how Brain Drain was born.
Yeah. I mean, not necessarily. Yeah. Well, okay. That's always the filling out forms. I know that people, even Americans and foreigners, they look at these forms and they wonder how to fill them out, and they get a little bit nervous. And I remember early in my career, I had a supervisor or manager, who once told me, hey, if it's white, you write in it. So when you look at that piece of paper, if it's white, you write in it, and it's just a matter of again, I know for me, there's no fear of being wrong. There's no fear of that. Only because if it is wrong, it's not like when I was in school, you get that failing grade and you have to start the course all over again. If it's wrong, you just redo it. You know, it's not illegal. It's just if the answer is wrong, you just write in the right answer. So, but I also know, and I can understand how the nervousness, from the other side is a little bit more of more impactful. Let's put it that way. More intense.
May I add a couple things?
Sure.
I think just helping people finding someone to assist in filing the papers, filling out the forms. This is just a part of what we do. I think it's a bigger thing. At least that's what I'm trying to do here in Uzbekistan. That's give people hope that they actually can find a new home, and then show
Yeah.
them that it's doable, and steer them towards the right way to do it. Because a lot of people are stuck, and not just in Uzbekistan, all over the world. I know that one of our potential applicants is right now in Montenegro, I believe.
Yes.
Is that yes? So is a brilliant Russian doctor, scientist, actually, with many article in scientific medical magazines and research, and this brilliant guy. And he's not obviously fled Russia, and he's lost home. And Montenegro, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, other countries, for most of us, they're transit points. They're not destinations. And the idea is to show people, hey, life is not over. You still can find a place. There are probably a few, but we steer you towards the USA because this is just a fantastic country where you can build new life. You can find new home. You can start all over and succeed because you come to a society where everyone gets equal opportunities. Okay, that's my idea of brain drain. And then they ask, okay, what do we do? I said, okay, I usually tell them talk to Manus. But we have the set of procedures. We do an interview. We determine if they're eligible, rough determination. Then we look at their resumes and paperwork and see if they're really eligible. And then we start the process and the whole 9 yards. So, yes, but showing them the light and saying, look, if you really would like to walk that way, then we can assist you in different ways. We do not give legal advice here. We're not attorneys. We cannot represent you in American court, but we can help find you attorneys. Okay, if you have money, that's great. If you don't, we can help someone who would be willing to donate money to help you. And we would like to help you to file, to assist you with finding someone who's he can help you with paperwork legally and things like that. So first we give them hope, we give them the picture of a new home, and then we kind of walk along with them, supporting them. That's how I see brain drain.
Yeah.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
And we are actually getting a little bit more stronger. Many of the people that are watching, many of the people that are have gone through this, they don't understand how the numbers affect them. All right. Okay. So there's 14 million people in the United States that are undocumented. All right. There's 50,000 openings for asylum petitions each and every year. So do the math. Just divide 14 million by 50,000 and you'll see, yeah, it's 7-10 years. It's going to take a long time to get through. There is 144,000 openings on the employment side. Each country gets no more than 7%, which is about 9,000. And when you break it down to the EB1 and the EB2, it's about 3,000. Last year, there was only maybe 400 Russians who came here on the EB1. You know, these are hard numbers. So there's a lot more that could come. You know, you mentioned Montenegro. They get the same numbers. But countries like China and India, with their billion-dollar population, they fill up their numbers. They fill up their quotas, and they backlog, you know, their systems
For decades.
where they're waiting. But for those coming from those countries, you know, whether it's the only country that has numbers similar, you know, that would cause a backlog, you know, like in India or whatchamacallit, I said China and India, would be possibly Brazil. But because Brazil is up there, but they're not at full capacity.
So
Like I
Manus,
said,
we had
yes.
one question come in from our colleague, and it was,
Yes.
what was your favorite meal in Moscow?
Oh my gosh. Favorite meal. I don't even know what the name of it was, to be honest with you. These people are crazy. You know, I don't know how else to phrase it. You know, they take a table and they load it up with all kinds of food and everything like that, and they pass around the plates and everything like that. And I don't know what it is. You know, you know, you know, the salads or whatever. I mean, every inch, every spot was covered. It was all good, but like I said, I don't necessarily. I remember having that experience and whatnot, and I also remember the experience where I kept on, you know, pushing the glass away because I don't drink, and you know, they were.
That was really
Yeah.
hard. That was really hard. It was really hard
Yeah.
not to eat and not to drink, because everyone would come to you and say, Manus, please try this. This is really good. This
Yes.
is she did this or I did this. She made this, you know. Oh, but
Yes.
you're gonna like it. It's wonderful. But I don't like it. So no, you've got to try it. It's different. You're gonna love it. And then you're like, okay, I can't really turn it. Oh, you have to drink. What do you mean you don't drink?
Yeah.
You've got to. Well, this is not drinking. There's just a little bit, you know.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just vodka. It's not drinking.
Was it like that?
I would find that the food was definitely just like that. As far as the offers of alcohol, I think I made it very clear, and so they weren't too persistent, and they were respectful of that, I guess. And
In Russia, there's one way out of drinking. Oh, you got to tell them, I'm sorry, I have ulcers. They're like, oh, all right, understood. All right, you know, no problem there. You know?
Okay. Yeah, no. In fact, I kind of think that I think I heard a comment about me being a sissy American or something like that. I don't know, but that's okay. You know,
No, they usually say, well, what's wrong with him? Oh, he must be sick.
sure, yeah.
You know, like physically sick, cannot like stomach problem. You know, I usually say, well, I have ulcers. I'm sorry. I said, oh, understood.
I think I heard some sort of comment. Maybe I don't necessarily, you know, sissy is term that we use to promote somebody as a coward or something like that, but it was some sort of comment where it was in Russian or whatever, but I know it was Amerikansky, and I may have heard it as American sissy. So, yeah. But I just remember my ears like, wait, what do you say? Yeah. But, I don't necessarily know what the expression that was used or anything like that. So I don't necessarily want to be unfair, let's put it that way. But no, I did not see the insistence to drink being extremely as strong as the insistence to try different types of food and whatnot. So, yeah. But I didn't actually try anything that I can remember that I hated. Let's put it that way. So.
Well, gentlemen, we're coming up on the hour. Time
Yeah.
flies. So do we want to close it up and give a little plug for next week? I don't know if we talked about.
Would like to ask, you watching this live stream or video after we're done? It's even if you're watching as a rerun, I would like to make a call to action. If you happen to have someone you know who is an immigrant or has an interesting story about immigrants, then consider inviting him or her to the live stream as a part of, as a guest on Meet Your New Neighbor. We would love to talk to different people and hear their stories of immigration, or perhaps they're just trying to immigrate to the United States. I mean, everyone has stories, and we would love to hear those. So please spread the word. And if you have someone in mind, contact them, and then contact us.
Yeah, I think Tamara and I discussed potential guests for next week, and I hope that we'll be able to make an announcement by Wednesday, and firm that up and basically get the word out to you either by Wednesday or, but no later than Friday and whatnot. But yes, anybody who wants to come in here and sit on the hot seat, you're more than welcome.
And in the meantime, check out our previous videos, like and subscribe. We mentioned Dr. G. We did interview Dr. G a few weeks back, the doctor from Montenegro. And of course, as a nonprofit, we're always looking if someone does have the means and would like to support our mission and support our cause. We are a nonprofit and we do accept donations.
Yes, donations,
and those are
volunteers.
tax deductible.
Yes. Donations, volunteers, and even as simple, just go to our website and sign up for the newsletter. Yeah.
That'd be absolutely wonderful.
All right.
Thank you very much, Manus. Thank you, Tamara. Thank you, Eric. Fantastic to meet you again. I really enjoy our Monday meetings, not Friday. Monday meetings. Meet your new neighbors. It's fun. To me, I love doing that. I hope viewers like to watch them. So thank you
Tune
so
in
much.
next week at same time, same place.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll see you soon.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this and maybe even learned something new. If you did, don't just vanish into the algorithm. Hit like, subscribe, and follow us on social. It's the easiest way to support our work and make sure you never miss what's next. Want to stay in the loop without relying on big tech's mood swings? Sign up for our monthly newsletter. And if you've got the means, donations of any size keep our programs running strong. As a 501c3, your gift is tax deductible where the law allows. Together, we can turn brain drain into America's next big breakthrough.